Hi everyone, not quite so paradisey today. Can you believe this is summer? Look at this. It's so different to last time. I've even got to wear my trench coat today because it's so grim. Oh, it was raining all day yesterday. It's going to rain for much of the day today. I'm just making my way to work now, hopefully a window between downpours, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, so with this slightly darker and gloomier weather, I thought let's do let's do a video which is a little bit darker and not necessarily gloomier in turn. So I'm coming up to a year and a half on HRT, and I'm a very self-reflective person, and I thought it might be interesting to kind of take stock and think of some of the things that I wish I'd known before I started down this journey of transitioning. I suppose first of all, what I wish I'd known is just how fun things can be. There's this kind of, I'm going to call it a misconception, but there's an idea that our lives, our trans lives, can be kind of sad and dispiriting, and every day is another difficulty and another challenge that we need to overcome. But in reality, I've had a lot of fun playing with my identity and trying out different styles and stuff like that, and just starting to enjoy relaxing into who I am. And that's been a lot more fun than I thought it would be. Speaking of fun, I'm trying to find a place to drop off my package. I need to send it via DPD, and I have no idea where the drop-off zone is. It says it's around here somewhere. It's not in that Żabka. I don't think it'll be in an app taker. What a pain in the ass. Oh well, I will continue searching for this drop-off point on my way to work. There's surely going to be one. It just means I'm going to be carrying this bloody thing around with me for the next half hour. Ho-hum. In the last video, I talked about clothing and experimenting and playing around with that, and that's certainly part of it. It's not all of it, of course. There's just the general sort of state of being myself as I live my life, and that's pretty fun as well. I'm enjoying that. And so yeah, I'd say that's the first thing I want to say, is just how enjoyable it is. It's, yes, not always been easy, but it's not always been very serious and stark and depressing as well. Okay, package delivered. Here's my receipt to prove it's on its way. Vinted customer, you will get your footwear soon, I hope. So yes, first one, it's actually been a lot of fun. Second one, second. So it's kind of connected to that kind of experimentation. And now, for context, Carolina, who I'm sure I'll talk a lot more about in this video, she's quite staunchly anti-makeup, and I completely understand her rationale and her reasoning behind it. It is a bit of a crutch, and it's something that you shouldn't need to rely on to let your inner beauty shine. But I have definitely enjoyed and appreciated the effects of makeup, even though I don't use a lot. What you see right now is about as much as I tend to use. I've just got a bit of foundation, a bit of eye makeup, some concealer to try to reduce the shadow around my mouth. And I kind of wish I'd started a bit sooner, but I started now. That's the main thing. I don't know. Maybe it would have been good to have learned a little bit more about this beforehand, so it was less jarring to learn about this on top of everything else that I was having to learn. But at the same time, I don't think it was prohibitively difficult to pick it up. And as I say, because I'm only using like minimal amounts, it's not something that I'm having to spend a lot of money or time on to pick up and learn. I'm not using contouring or anything like that. Maybe I'll look into those things in the future. But yeah, and there's some other affirming care things that I could have done sooner. I could have got my face lasered earlier. I need to get my eyebrows done again. They're getting a little bit bushy. But I mean, I'm not dissatisfied with where I am with those things. Maybe I could have learned about those things a bit earlier. So that, because one thing, moving on to the third point, I suppose, is there's a lot that you need to learn and do and change, and a lot of those things I found have been things I've had to do by myself. I've obviously got some wonderful support from Carolina, but you know, she's not going to be able to send emails using my pronoun, assert myself when it comes to being referred to using those pronouns, and so on. You know, there's a lot of things that I needed to do, and I still need to do. I still need to get into the whole legal processes as well, which is I've been putting off because I know how much that's going to suck, basically. And so yeah, having to learn all of these things alongside, do all of these things, that first year was quite tiring, I have to say, but I got through it. You know, my newfound energy of being myself helped me, you know, push through a lot of those difficult days. But yeah, it would have been nice to have had like a list of things that, okay, these are the things that you're going to need to be responsible for, and you can't count on the help of anybody else to hold your hand or even do some of those things for you, because you need to do them yourself. And that moves to my next point, which is on community. Now, one of the things that I was desperately under the misconception of, because I've heard this line repeated here and there, is that there's a community waiting to embrace you and to welcome you into the fold. This is not true, at least in my experience. I have not found a trans community, full stop. I have found trans friends, I've got a few, but by and large, they all live outside of Poland. I do not have a community here in this country around me physically to support me, to cheer me, to comfort me, or any of those things that you need a community's help with. In fact, I've mentioned before that I've tried reaching out to trans people, or a trans person should I say, in my organization, only to be ghosted. And I still don't know why that was. And it still stings a little bit, because maybe it was something that I did wrong, but because she doesn't tell me, I don't know. And I could be continuing to make that mistake every day, and I just don't know what it could be. So yeah, there isn't a community. I have, as I say, a couple of friends that I really cherish and I'm really grateful for, but you know, they live in North America, and there's another person I've been communicating with who lives in Central America, and there's a regular poster here who flicks between, hold on a second. I don't want to cross the road on my phone with the police watching. What was I saying? Yeah, and there's a poster here who spends their time between two countries, but certainly not Poland. So yeah, I've tried reaching out to organizations here, but they don't get back to me. It's just, I mean, I understand why, and I'm not going to say that I'm lonely, but it's just, I wish I'd known. And by the way, I'm not saying that I hold any one person or a group or whatever responsible for this. I know that my circumstances are quite unusual, even by trans standards, they're quite unusual. So I'm not bitter about it, but it did kind of leave me, say, hanging a little bit, waiting for something which never appeared. And if I'd known that, then perhaps I would have wasted less time looking for it. So yeah, that's quite a big one actually. And if anyone's hearing this and they're feeling like they've been abandoned, or if they feel like they're a face that doesn't fit in the so-called trans community, well, I want to tell you that it's not necessarily your fault. I mean, it could be, I don't know, maybe you're some kind of antisocial person, but don't beat yourself up over it. Now I need to find a tram stop. I'm going to go over there. Oh dear. What a morning. Okay. What time are we on? 22. Okay, I think I need to be at work at 9. It's 20 to 9. Let's hope that I can grab a tram in time. Oof, it's windy as well. Okay. So, yes, community. It's not what I thought it would be. And that's kind of disappointing, but at the same time, it is what it is. Okay, I found a tram stop. My tram's in about 4 minutes, so that gives me enough time to talk about another one. So the next thing that I'd like to mention is TERFs, and the thing that I have found is that they are, by and large, full of shit. The concept that they're speaking for women at large, I found to be claptrap. To be frank, my biggest supporters and even people who've accepted me quicker have been almost universally women, especially lesbian women. And so that notion that they're speaking for these groups is just, it's self-centeredness, I have to say. And it's not, I don't think it's a mindset that most women subscribe to. And you can see that there's a survey which has gathered tens of thousands of signatures where people are saying that it's not, these cis women do not believe in those things. It's not in their name. It's really noisy here. Goodness gracious. I found the Polish Trafalgar Square, I think. Anyway, so yeah, I would like them to shut up, but I don't think they're going to. I would love for them to have a conversation with people outside of their bubble, just to get a sense of how realistic their views are. But I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon, so we are where we are, I guess. Okay, so good news, I made it to work on time. I'm now going home from work. So this is kind of the opposite of my normal video. Long day. So there's one last thing I wanted to cover when I'm talking about things that I wish I had known, and it's hard for me to exactly identify or characterize exactly what I want to say here. So I'm going to say the difference between acceptance and support. I think if you know what I mean. I found that some people can be accepting without necessarily being supporting. But it's very uncommon that someone will be supporting but not accepting, but never mind. But I found that some people give me a great deal of acceptance without really support, and by that, I think I talked about this a little bit in a previous video. For instance, Carolina is very much in the accepting and supporting quadrant. She's been nothing but amazing throughout my whole adventure of transitioning, but I would still maintain that my family, my parents, aren't quite so supportive. And the more I think about my work, for example, there's individuals in my company who are pretty good, both accepting and supporting to a certain extent, but my company, while it has accepted me, and so far as an organization can, they've given me zero support. So by that, what I mean is they've not helped me with changing name or the gender markers on my HR platform or anything like that. And I guess I would say that I can forgive others for this, or I can understand other people for their relative appearance in various spaces on this little spectrum that I created, because I myself have been accepting and supporting of my own journey to certain extents throughout my own life. And I suppose the act of transitioning, it's the ultimate supporting, or at least it should be, because it can be quite difficult to be advocating for myself and championing the things that I need through all of this, and it's one of the reasons why it can be quite exhausting and tiring, which makes me mindful of other people and how they don't have the cognitive space to be fully supportive, I suppose. And yeah, anyway, I'll leave it there. It's been, on reflection, a fantastic year. I've learned a lot about myself and about people around me and the world at large. And it's just been a wonderful, wonderful experience. The fact that I can walk around the city as myself and not be too worried about that, or at least, embrace anything that might come, is something. It really is a new world, a new life, in a sense, but also the same life. It's interesting. Anyway, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, what sorts of reflections you have on your last 12 months or year and a half, however it is you've been spending it. And I'll see you all again very soon. Goodbye.